Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Grappler Union Podcast. Javier Palomo alongside Anthony Zito. Our guest today is Adam Miller. Adam is a third-degree black belt under Pedro Sauer. Also in studio is Jeff Kim. Enjoy.
8 to 6 minutes. Which would have it in that 6 minutes.
You told me using any technique that works. Never to limit myself to one style. Keep an open mind.
We're not here just to take part. We're here to take over.
In order to become more peaceful, in order for you to become better and strategize your life.
All right, we're live, yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny how, people will walk in and they'll have, this tension and nervousness because they're, expecting it's going to be, this interview. We're going to ask them all these hard-hitting questions and things like that. And it's like, no, man, we're just here to talk.
Pretty much going to talk about iPhones and jiu-jitsu.
Right. Like your new iPhone 11. What's up with that?
Dude, I had to do it. I couldn't, because I know better. I'm a technology. I'm like, I had an iPhone 7 and it was great, beautiful. And I'm like, I'm not going to do the update to 13 OS. And then and then someone did it and I was like, oh, they have a dark mode now? That's
awesome.
What bought you?
Right.
That's what bought me. So I'm like, well.
So that's the main bells and whistles on this particular one. You got
iOS 13.
dark mode.
I got dark mode, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
no, I have an Android phone.
This got dark really
Yeah,
quick,
right.
by the way.
Yeah.
So I upgraded my i7 to the iOS 13 and it just destroyed my phone.
It's
Destroyed
just
it.
chugging along, right?
Destroyed the battery. And I need my phone and I need it to be always and I just couldn't handle
Well, I mean,
it.
you held out for
I
4 or
did.
5 versions there, right?
Exactly. So I did. So it's been a while. So I did. And now I went in thinking I would only have to spend
It's like $100.
$600. Well, 600 because I looked online and they have the iPhone 11 and they have the iPhone 11 Pro and then the Pro Max. I'm like, well, I'm just going to get the iPhone 11. I'm not going to get the Pro. I don't need a fucking 3 ridiculous cameras on the back of my phone.
And yet there they are.
Hold on. So I get to the Apple store and I'm like looking around. I'm like, all right, so wait, why is the iPhone 11 larger than the iPhone 11 Pro? I didn't get that. I'm like, so I put the iPhone 11 in my hand. I'm like, this is giant. Like my hand just felt uncomfortable holding this.
You're saying it was
cheaper phone.
too big for you?
Too big. So then I'm like, oh,
Small people
fuck.
problems.
So then I go to the iPhone 11 Pro. I'm like, that fit better.
That was the deciding
So I had to
factor.
spend
If only you
extra-
had bigger hands.
If only I had bigger, I had to spend
right.
extra $300 to get this phone.
So that you could have comfort.
So it was more
And superior
comfortable.
cameers.
Well, and I got the stupid cameras, but it's definitely more comfortable because I was in line. I had to wait half hour just to talk to a rep to buy the phone.
Right.
And I'm like back and forth. I'm like, oh, do I go with this bigger one? And the lady's like, you can get the bigger one now, and if it's so uncomfortable, just bring it back. You have 14 days. I'm like, I don't got time to be bringing phones back.
Right. It took me a half hour just to get here.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Just
No.
give
Money-
me the Pro one.
Money is no object, young lady. Time, on the other hand.
Time is money not. Time is everything. Right. That's very true. Very true.
I similarly like to upsell people in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, listen, you join the beginner's class, you get this dank gi over here, but you want the professional gi with 3 lenses. We should probably have that,
Well, the
actually.
gi probably fits better too, right?
Right,
Is
that's
that
the
other
point,
thing?
yeah.
Give him an oversized gi.
We,
for
we,
the-
Right.
we give them a custom cut now. Man, that would be cool though. Like you sign up for the unlimited membership, and the dude's tailoring you like right there as you
Right.
on your first day.
That'd be
What an
awesome.
impression that would be.
That would be awesome. That'd be
It's like
awesome.
those origin gis that we
Yeah.
had. Yeah, one of the guys that was at the seminar from Threshold, and he had that nice
Origin?
silky.
Like literally
Origin.
silk.
Well,
Because I want to roll with the guy in silk.
Well, it's not it. Yeah, but it feels. Yes, it's just very
We
nice.
might get there one day.
I'm telling you, no, it's the black one.
He had like a navy bluish one.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, cool color.
Yeah, I think it's the same one Josh has, where I'm like, this
think it is,
cannot
yeah.
be legal.
That's right, yeah.
This simply cannot be legal.
It feels that good.
It feels too good.
Well, Jake was talking about that too. Jake from Fight Chicks. And
Yes.
when I saw him, he had the same gi, and it was like, yeah.
No, it's a beautiful gi, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, it's like some kind of crazy blend between like combat and pajamas, like actual silk comfy pajamas for
Well, that's a hefty price tag too for that gi. It's like $300.
But made in America, so
Okay.
Yep,
there you go.
gi. There you go.
Not in Pakistan.
no. There is nothing worse about. I'm not calling out to anyone who might be involved in this, but hearing like some issues that occasionally happen because like when you're getting all of your product from across the ocean, occasionally you're going to run into shipping issues, containers lost at sea, tsunamis, whatever it may be. But yeah, it's like, oh, we would like to restock, but unfortunately we can't because Pakistan has not sent us our shipment across the ocean yet. So there's got to be a nice aspect of that as well. It's like your distribution is at worst like 4 days away.
Right.
Yeah, from one end of the country to the other, 4 days by FedEx.
I don't know if I can do business. I do business here in Chicago, Illinois, and it's difficult just dealing with vendors around here. And then some vendors I deal with on the East Coast and West Coast, that's difficult. But I can't even imagine trying to do business overseas. It would be, I don't even know. I
mean, I would think in your line of work, you have to, like, you got to occasionally take a tech call with India or something, right?
No.
You are always that tech call?
I'm always that tech call.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
I don't call anyone.
You're like, listen, I can Google this when the client's not looking and pull up a tutorial on YouTube.
I wish I could have that person I can call. Sometimes I miss having a person I can call.
Right.
When I first started, I had a guy.
Final expert.
You need a guy.
I need a guy. I had a guy, and he's no longer with us. But it's hard. It's hard not having a guy to call. But it's okay.
I'm fortunate in my line of work. Well, okay, not my actual work, not the one that pays my bills, but in this jiu-jitsu thing, I've always got a guy to call. Yeah, no matter what the issue is, it's like jiu-jitsu. I don't know how to do that, but I know the expert that does. Hold on.
Yes, that's what's really nice about jiu-jitsu. There's always someone that's gonna be better than you. Mm-hmm. Always, no matter who you are, there's always someone better, or someone knows something more.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. So fast. Adam, where you come from?
So he's that guy.
He might be that guy.
Yeah. I was born in Berwyn. I grew up in Cicero, actually.
What?
So
look at that. Look on his face. He's
Sounds like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1972.
You were born in
Berwyn,
72?
Loretto Hospital.
Yeah.
Is that place still standing?
It's still standing.
Yeah.
Loretto, right off Central there.
Yeah. And just kind of grew up there, and that actually got me started in martial arts, just living in that Grant Works area. And
You live in Grand Works, huh?
I had a switchblade put to my neck when I was a little kid, probably about 7 years old. And that was a formative experience. And
I imagine it would be, yeah.
kind of
A
started.
lot of 2-2 boys, 2-6 growing up around over there, right?
Yeah,
What
and
games were you guys?
I don't know if they're in existence today, but
for sure they are.
But the gang that touched my neck with their blade was the Noble Knights.
Noble Knights, I remember those guys.
I just want to point out,
I
this
had
is
two-
only
two
the second
encounter-
time on the podcast that this exact conversation has happened. Last time was Lovato Sr., remember?
Two encounters with the Noble Knights in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking for a third.
No,
Right, yeah.
That's right.
Fuck
They
that.
don't listen. That's okay.
Yeah, they're not big fans of the show. No.
We don't know that, actually. Like, jiu-jitsu takes all
You don't
types.
know. That's
Yeah.
right.
True.
That's
True.
right.
Yeah. So how long did you live in Cicero?
Oh my goodness. We probably left and started that migration out towards the northwest burbs. Like maybe after third grade.
Okay.
And so
I mean, after the Switchblade incident, I'd be rapidly wanting to move out, too.
yeah, and we moved out, but I kept ties here. Like one of my best friends growing up was a guy named Ed Krifka, and so I used to come hang out here on the weekends, and that led to my second encounter with the Noble Knights. It was a hot summer night, and we spent all night just hanging out with this girl. I think her name was Peggy or something like that. And the gentleman that we decided we were going to walk this gal home. Mm-hmm. And so we're walking her home. It's only like 3 blocks down from where Ed lives, but we cross this kind of imaginary territory. And I see these guys on the left-hand side. It's a hot summer night. They're on the porch. They're drinking, talking, smoking, just kind of having a good time. And I get this twinge of fear. And fear is actually a gift, but I didn't know that back then. Mm-hmm. So I get this twinge of fear that tells me something is wrong, And then I get my brain, my rational side of me kind of saying, nothing's going to happen. Don't worry about it. And so I split the difference between the two. Never split the difference between the two.
Err on one side or the other, right?
Yeah. So I decide, here is my split the difference. I walk over to the other side of the street. And as soon as I do that, as soon as we kind of get near that house, we're intercepted. 3 guys walk off of the porch. 2 guys in front of me, 1 guy behind me. And they're like, what up, folk? And they're flashing signs. And so this is the early 80s and stuff. So we were using language like, instead of just saying I'm neutral, we were saying things like, I'm a neutron. Like, you can laugh at it now. But
no guardian angels around, huh?
No. The guy behind me balled his hand up into a fist, slammed it into the side of my face, and then I'm just getting mauled by 3 people. So 3 on 1. And I'm using everything I knew within martial arts at the time just to kind of cover and kind of roll off the punches.
Sure.
And the funniest thing in the world is the girl is grabbing my buddy Ed and saying, "Aren't you going to help him? Aren't you going to help him?" And he said, "Don't worry, this guy knows karate."
Oh, Jesus.
Of course, Jackie Chan didn't show up that day. It was the best I could do to just kind of not eat anything solid.
Yeah.
My friend jumped in, pushed the guys off of me. The fight got fairer until everybody from the porch swarmed in.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how many guys. I mean, every time I tell this story, there's more guys.
Right, as it should be.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's like the Matrix.
You
Part 2.
get a year
That's
old,
right.
you add 2 more guys.
That's exactly right.
yeah.
So I don't know how many
Just kept
guys there
coming.
were, but my martial arts experience at the time in Taekwondo and Hapkido just kind of helped me not get grabbed. Because when you're in a multiple tacker situation, the worst thing that can happen is for them to sort of grab you and hold you and then everybody else. And that's what happened to my buddy. There were 5 guys on him. There was a guy on each leg and a guy on each arm and a 5th guy just repeatedly kicking him over and over in the head. So terrible.
He was on the ground.
He was on the ground.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they had managed to pull him down. And I had managed to just kind of stay moving and in a multiple attacker situation, good old PFS, Paul Vunak.
Yeah.
You don't kick, you use your feet to move around, you do some shielding. If anything, you throw a jab.
Right.
And I would say it this way, I think God showed up that night. So what happened is all the aggression, all the hate, all that energy, all the violence just like stopped. It was like something was just holding it back. And whoever was kind of the leader, he just kind of stood up and said, "You guys get the F out of here." And of course we did.
Right.
And so that was my second experience with those noble knights.
It's not so noble.
Not so noble.
Weird name to name a gang. Noble.
Perhaps there's a story behind it. We'll
might
just
There might
never
be.
know.
Maybe we should get him on the podcast.
There you go.
Not after this story.
not when I'm here.
No third encounter.
Gangs in Cicero. That's
That's right.
They're still there. I mean, for sure, they're still there. I mean, they were there when I was a kid.
So we moved out of Cicero. We actually ended up moving to the east side of Aurora.
Oh, wow.
Which wasn't much better.
Yeah, it's quite a ways, though.
It's quite a ways, but we ended up being kind of the minority, kind of the only white kids, my brother and I growing up in that neighborhood. And that was an interesting experience, kind of in and of itself. And there were always little fights. And the cool thing is my brother Sean, who was only about a year younger than me, was old enough that we were constant training partners with each other. So whatever we could learn in this YMCA program or that YMCA program, we collected it, we remembered it, we trained the heck out of it in our backyard. And so, ever since being a little boy, we've kind of been running from gangs and, getting in fights. And
It's good to have
using
somebody who's
martial
always got
arts
your back,
and-
though.
That's right. Yeah.
Heck
Yeah, absolutely.
Shit. Yeah, that's a weird thing, huh?
What?
Gangs are just like if he's walking down the street, nothing, and they still jump him for no reason. So
Yeah.
bizarre, so weird behavior.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I have a crazy mom too. So like we had one incident with our neighbors, and there's some kids. I think the name of the area, the project was called Hillcrest. And a couple of kids were riding past on their bike, and my neighbor said something they shouldn't have said to them. And so they came back with a ton of other kids on their bike. And my neighbor's like, man, they were out of here. They went into their house. So now I've got this mob of kids on my front yard, and they want to fight my brother and I because of something we didn't even say. So this is my mom, just Irish, red-headed woman. She comes out and she's like, okay, you guys want to fight my boys? It's going to be a fair fight. You pick one for him, you pick another for him. And so my younger brother went first, squared up with the first kid. Beautiful roundhouse kick right into the kid's jaw. I mean, I remember just watching the lower part of his jaw move. Like this kid's so solid, and the kid fell. It was into the fight right there. Kid fell down, holding his face and crying. And it was my turn, and so the guy starts walking towards me. I can see him gulping and sweating.
Yeah.
So I did a little bit of verbal jujitsu. I'd be like, we don't have to do this, man. He's like, yeah, we don't want to do this. And a week later, we saw the kids in church. Like, there was a school bus ministry. Like,
In
in
church?
the same school bus with the kids. Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, that's definitely got to be a weird experience. That would have been an awkward day at church though. Like if you had showed up, and, you know, kids got like missing teeth and a black eye. And whatnot. Hey, how's it going, man?
That's right.
Yeah, that's scary. Street fights are scary. I mean, they're no fun.
Nope.
No fun at all.
Nope. But they can change your life. So for me, it was kind of a catalyst experience, and it got me involved in martial arts, and went from doing Taekwondo, Hapkido, which I think a lot of people do, to wanting to do a deeper dive in Hapkido. So,
But would you, if you never got picked on, never got beat up, would you think you would not do martial arts?
I would still do it.
You still do it,
Man,
right?
I used to watch Kung Fu theater, jump around like a monkey. It was crazy.
Samurai
Loved
Sunday,
it.
man.
Samurai
Yeah.
Sunday.
For sure. So, I mean, not every experience, what I'm trying to get at is that not every experience, like good or bad, because the people who want to beat everybody up, who don't have the discipline to actually learn how to fight or become the bully,
Yeah.
you know, those are the guys that you'll never see in there. And those are the guys
That's
who
right.
give people, you know, who do train and who learn how to fight bad reputations, because, you know, we're all fighters here. We all fight. We all train. We train more than anything that
That's
I do.
right.
That's all I
Yeah.
think about, you know?
Yeah.
And then you got some guy out there doing a YouTube video about bullying. He beats some guy up, and it goes viral, and everyone's like, "Oh, that guy's so cool." It's not cool. Not cool at all. And it's annoying when I see videos like that. I'm like, man, you're just glorifying this guy who did something really stupid. Someone could have got killed. He could be in jail, but he throws it up on YouTube, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's so cool," or "He's so tough." It's not tough.
Yeah, that's the thing about social media. I mean, it has its blessings and its curses,
Yeah.
but anybody can be a rock star,
Right.
right?
Anybody.
I mean, you know, obviously, I don't want people to be, you know, getting into violent encounters and whatnot, but it's definitely going to happen, and these days it's going to frequently be caught on video. And in a way, I'm kind of thankful of it, because it's like, if we only look at the fighting experience of the people that we're surrounded by, many of whom, you know, like are trained martial artists, they're not necessarily going out and getting into fights. Like your combative experience oftentimes comes in the form of more formal events, you know, fights or matches
That's
and whatnot.
correct. Yeah.
So when you're looking for that data on, you know, what it's like real life in an encounter, in an ambush, when there's alcohol involved, I can get that from secondary sources off YouTube, off WorldStar, whatever it may be. I spend an embarrassingly large amount of time watching fight videos, mostly by people that don't know what they're doing, and like analyzing it as if I was like, you know, as if I was watching like professional MMA.
Yeah,
you know,
but it
like
should-
looking for things they do right, wrong,
It should give
whatever
you
it may
confidence that, you know,
Oh, yeah.
a person who's trained even a couple of years in jiu-jitsu is going to wreck that guy.
be. Yeah, for sure.
You know,
for sure.
absolutely.
But yeah, no, it's weird. Like sometimes I just watched a video the other night. It was from it was in Brooklyn, I think it was, you know, somewhere in New York. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, this guy probably had one too many drinks or whatnot. Starts trouble. He's puffing his chest out. He's threatening this other guy. There's girls involved. One's like, you know, basically like, leave my boyfriend alone or I'll hit you, which obviously just stirs that guy up even more. That guy's girl is like standing behind him at this point. This guy tries to calm the situation down. He's like, hey, calm down. We don't need to do this. So a third guy comes in. Then it gets physical between those two guys, and he knocks the original guy out. He's just like, pow, pow, pow. knocks him down. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" They're screaming, there's yelling and everything. I'm like, look at that! Like there was almost an incident between these two guys. One guy's clearly like the drunken aggressor here. The other guy really doesn't want none of that. Almost has to get into his fight because his girl opens her mouth and instigates, like my boyfriend, and then this other guy, fortunately for him, swoops in and like basically saves him by knocking the other guy out while trying to calm it down.
Was the other guy BJ Penn?
No, shockingly not. Oh man, did you see they released him over all that?
No.
Yeah. Dana said he'll never fight in the UFC again. They've released his contract.
Well, it should. I mean, that's no way to behave.
No. It's a sad spiral down.
You're old enough to know. Come on, what are we doing here? You're a professional fighter. What are you? Come on, man.
I don't know what to say to that. It's a sad thing to say.
I was watching the weigh-ins for Tampa's tonight. UFC Tampa. Yeah, it looks. I mean, Crone Gracie is so bad. I don't even know what to say. When he was
doing the breath of fire.
Well, the breath of fire for one, but then they did the face-offs, and he just stood there. And I love the face-offs a lot, especially when they're like interesting. Like Crone doesn't really talk a lot. He's just very to himself. And when you see him face off, I'm just like, holy fuck! I'd be so nervous if I was Cub Swanson. He just stone cold, just looks like a killer. I'm like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna go, man, but I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah,
Crone upset the internet with some comments that he made at the weigh-ins.
What did he say?
I was talking about loyalty, and I guess so. I hope I don't get all the facts straight here, but I guess
it's okay.
Cub.
None of the things we say here are actually
factually correct.
Yeah,
is that
none of them,
yeah? So Cub, he's got his team that he trains with and whatnot, and he was trying to get some training in, I guess, at some other gym.
I heard about that.
And they're like, we're not gonna let you train here. We're Gracie affiliates.
Right.
You're fighting Crone. You can't train here. Mm-hmm. And Crone went on and talked about like his feelings about belonging to a team and loyalty and you're with your team for life and whatnot. And of course that split the internet where people are like, that's an old school mentality. These fighters need to go where they need to go to get the best training, this, that, and the other thing. And other people are like, no, Crone's right. So yeah, internet loves an argument.
Yep, that's a good. That's a good argument. I don't see that. I don't see anything wrong.
It's a tricky one for me. Obviously, I train everywhere. So
because you train everywhere, right? Yeah, I don't disagree with that argument. I think that I don't know. I've trained at a couple places. I've trained at 10 Planet, and I've trained at Mineco's, at Soul Fighters. I've also visited lots of schools, just through the podcast. And I think everybody has great jiu-jitsu everywhere. I don't think there's not one place that's like, oh, I definitely won't ever train there. I think I can see myself training at every one of the places I've ever visited. It's just...
The cool thing now is there's so many different jiu-jitsu lanes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That weren't around in 93, 92, 93, 94, these early years.
Right.
But because of the work of everybody who's pioneered this, you now have jiu-jitsu schools everywhere, and each school has their own philosophy or lane, and I think that's cool.
Yeah. And I think visiting other schools before you settle on your team or whatever is very important to do. I think you should try out Roll Academy, try out Valco, try out all these, just try them out. And then obviously demographics make a difference for some people, for sure, But I say you try all these academies out, see what you like. You might try it, not just like go for one class, like seriously try it out. Go there for a month, see if you like it. That's all. I mean, everyone's so nice. Vivez is all these guys are so great.
Right.
I haven't had heard anything bad about anyone. But that's my thing. I like what you do. How you split your time up between those? I don't split my time. I like Mineco. He's everything right now for his gym. Everything I need right now is there. And that's what works for me.
Yeah, there's a mindset thing here too. Like, I think some people look at leaving a gym like they're canceling their Anytime Fitness contract.
Right.
And there's something different happening in a jiu-jitsu community on the level of community, which feels different than. So you get to a blue belt at one guy's school, and then you leave to go to another school for whatever reason. That feels different than canceling your Anytime Fitness contract.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's, I can go into any health club and get a workout in. I can go lift my weights, I can go run on my treadmill, and really above and beyond the amenities offered, there's not that much difference between Anytime Fitness, Lifetime Fitness. I mean, I'm sure the guys that work for there and whatnot, they're like, oh, shut up, I'll tell you about all the... But like at the end of the day, I'm there, I'm doing my thing, I need their equipment, I need their facility. But for sure, when I'm training at a gym in jiu-jitsu or judo or any other martial art like that, I don't just need the facility. That's great. What I really need is the training partners. And that's where that whole sort of, yes, we're paying for a service, but we're also, joining a family, as it were.
Yeah.
It's that trust. It's
Yeah.
that trust relationship where you don't get that in like, going to X Fitness, X Sport or whatever it is.
Right.
You don't have to worry about that. Like I could just go there.
I mean, I need
run on
a
a
dude.
treadmill.
If I need a dude to spot me, I definitely don't want a dude who I don't trust. Like, dude, get off your phone, I'm
for
dying.
sure, for sure. But no, whenever like if I'm rolling with certain people and they're rolling with me, they're putting a lot of trust that I'm gonna let go when I say tap. I'm going to not injure them and do stuff like that.
And then-
not purposely.
And then along the trust line, like as an instructor, as a professor, you had people pour into you that you were loyal to,
Right.
and you are now pouring that into other people, and you just you hope that gets reciprocated,
Right.
So
Yeah, we were just talking about it before. Like there's, when you get that person, you've taken them from white to blue belt, and you get that belt, and then they ghost you.
Well, if
Blue belt blues hits.
yeah, the blue belt blues. Yeah, that's a tough belt to get.
It is.
past.
It's probably the worst belt.
Yeah.
Probably the worst belt. Like if you stick it out to purple, barring injuries or something really major happening in your life, I think you're probably above average percentage is gonna get to brown, gonna get to black. But if we lose them at blue, which is probably the most emotionally traumatizing belt, because you can still have a bad day, or some guy who Division I wrestler comes in, no actual experience, wearing a white belt, you get thrashed, like those things.
Blue's hard.
Yeah, that's hard.
Blue's
That's real
tough
hard
belt.
at blue.
Well, that's just like traditional martial arts, right? Like you guys know that the black belt, once they get a first degree black belt, can take anywhere from 2 to 5 years, right?
Right,
It
depending
depends
on
the art.
the curriculum.
Then
and whatnot.
typically, after they get their black belt, that's their goal for their entire martial arts career. And then I think for some people, the blue belt, once they achieve it, it is a high achievement.
Right. And it's also like, depending on the
that's-
school, it can be a very similar level of investment of time
Yes,
too.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Like some schools, obviously, blue belt represents a year or two of dedicated training. Obviously it depends on how much time, what the curriculum requirements are, so on and so forth. And other schools, it's much longer.
Well, way back in the 90s, I mean, I think it took me 7 or 8 years, I think, to get my blue belt. From the time I started to the time I actually got my blue. And
I used to call it beltflation. So you take inflation, and it's like you inflate the worth of a belt.
Right.
But in the early 90s in the Midwest, where could you learn this, and who had a blue belt? And if you had a blue belt, they were a rock star.
I met Jeff Curran when he was a blue belt.
Yeah.
Fairly freshly minted, as I recall, actually.
Well, that was funny because I know that Adam had introduced Jeff Curran to
That's
jiu-jitsu.
right. Yeah, I probably
And it
taught
was-
Jeff Curran his first Americana,
Well, there you go.
and he came in,
Right.
was teaching. So I had gotten involved in jiu-jitsu. Actually, first UFC was 93.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was involved in 92. And I was involved through a couple of guys who were teaching PFS, Progressive Fighting Systems, Joan Fon Kickboxing. And it seemed like the guys in PFS, definitely Paul Vunak, had just latched a hold of jiu-jitsu. And so everybody was training it. My first jiu-jitsu private lesson was actually taken from a JKD guy who was, teaching me probably some basic
Where was
bridge and
this at?
roll in Crystal Lake.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I was training with a guy named Tom Trimmingham, and Randy Ciordia was the guy that actually first taught
Oh,
me.
Randy by name.
Yeah, he first taught me. I probably took my first ever jiu-jitsu lesson from him, and just kind of caught the bug and fell in love with it. And then, of course, the UFC hit, and it's history from there. But yeah, Jeff Curran, he was a high school kid at the time, junior or senior, can't remember which, but he just came into one of my classes, and the Hapkido instructor that I worked with, her name was Harriet Johnson, really cool martial artist, really cool lady. But she had such an open mind. She allowed me to teach 2 times out of the week in that school, a ground fighting class. That's what we called it.
I totally remember
Right.
that era.
It was ground fighting. And so, yeah, Jeff Curran and his buddy Tom walked in one day, and I think that experience was so positive for Jeff that kind of set the trajectory of his life. So I've got that opportunity to, be right there at the foundation of his jiu-jitsu journey.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, of course, Jeff Curran, MMA pioneer, and, he's been in all the big shows, Pride, UFC, WEC, an amazing martial artist, great guy. Yeah.
We're still trying to get him on this show.
Yeah, you got to.
I know.
I'm gonna have to kidnap him probably. Bring him up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was all for it. What happened? Something happened. Like,
One of the things that happened was he moved his gym.
That's
so
what
that,
it was.
That
That's
was
what's
the
going
big most time consuming
Yeah.
thing. But it's also coming from Crystal Lake. It's quite a drive to get out
it is-
here.
It is a haul.
Yeah,
And
We wanted-
that's actually how he launched his first academy. So Jeff had been training when Carlson Jr. opened up here in Chicago. He was driving all the way from Crystal Lake, Wonder Lake,
right.
the McHenry County area in every day. But he was also doing hockey, and I think he blew his knee out in hockey or something like that.
Okay.
And then so he just stopped driving. And then something happened, and him and Tom Trimmingham got together. They opened up their first jiu-jitsu. Actually, it was a martial arts academy called All Range Martial Arts.
Okay.
And
That
it
was before he was hooked up with what's his
Pedro.
name? I was going to say
Frank Cucci.
Frank Cucci
Yeah.
through Lynx Academy. Then
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So this is the early days, very first academy. It's called All Range Martial Arts. And we were teaching, because of Tom Trimmingham, we were teaching JKD, we were teaching stick, we were teaching knife, and we were teaching jiu-jitsu. And then eventually, through the JKD circles, Jeff ends up getting hooked up with Frank Cucci, and Frank ends up introducing him to Pedro. And by this time, Jeff is, I think he went from being with Carlson Jr. to being with
Megaton, right.
And then had, he can come on here and tell his own story with Megaton. And then,
Probably
and then met Pedro. Frank set him up with Pedro, and, that experience was life-changing. And so then Jeff brought Pedro out to all of us.
Right.
So, like, all of my rank has come through Pedro over the years, and because of the sacrifice of Jeff Curran to bring guys out like that, like, my jiu-jitsu came alive on the mats at Team Curran.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a strange circle that is when you think about it. And
Right.
you guys have history together
Long
prior
history.
to that,
Very,
right?
very
Even
long
before
history.
Jeff Curran, Jeff Kim and I knew each other.
Yeah, over at my dad's old Kokido school in downtown Elgin. I think we were like 16 or 17.
Yeah, we were kids.
Yeah, came in for some classes, and we had some early sparring matches that he always got the better of. But
No, that's
Always?
not true.
that's the way I remember it.
Not true. Not true.
He's like, no, there was that one time. That one time. Still pains me all these years later, but I do remember it.
But how cool is it? Because how long have we known each other then?
It's got to be. I'm 48. You're 47.
So I'm 47. You're the older brother here.
Absolutely.
In this relationship.
That's right. The better looking one.
That's true. No one can deny that. But so we've basically been training
30?
off and on since we were 16.
Wow.
And in different seasons of life, moving apart, coming back
yeah.
together. But one of my longest lifelong training partners here, we had a chance to train a little this weekend too.
We did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Same
How'd you guys
result.
do? Good?
Same result.
Same result?
Yep.
Just a mild mauling.
Basically, yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's
Every time
generally
I think
my-
I'm going to do better, it's
Yeah.
I think you guys have your instructors that are like that as
Oh
well.
yeah. There are certain instructors where I'm just trying to minimize the beating.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's coming.
Mineko put it on me the other night, and after class, I was like, what the fuck? Do I even know what the fuck I'm
Yes.
doing?
Oh yes. The do
I'm
I
like,
even know
what
jujitsu
the
moments?
fuck?
That was me
happening?
last night.
So crazy.
and I can only guess at what he's thinking, but I know a lot of instructors will have I reserve the right to put a whooping on you kind of mentality. Like they may not do that for a while, and then all of a sudden that number comes up and they feel like, I'm going to have to smash you today.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because he smiles after. He's like, my pressure was a little pressure, huh? I'm like, fuck a little. Fuck, I thought I did something you didn't like me anymore. What the fuck happened?
Right.
Re-straightened my spine.
Yeah, it just
dislocated my hip.
Crushed me. I'm
And
like, what the fuck?
I think the best taps are pressure taps.
He tapped me with pressure. I couldn't. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
those
Clearly,
are the best.
clearly, you think that when you're on top.
Exactly. I never felt that one. I forgot no one tapped to my pressure, but it must be nice.
I find it extra funny because, like, and I've said this before, like, all of my coaches up until I hooked up with Luis and Tiago are much bigger men. Like, not a one of them is under 190 pounds. Mm-hmm. So, like, when they would show me stuff like pressure or put, like, a real serious, like, scarf hold on me or something like that, and they would tap me with pressure, I kind of pawned it off as, well, you're just a lot bigger than me.
Yeah.
And then Tiago did it to me for the first time ever. I'm pretty sure it was him, like, just timeline-wise. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I've been lying to I owe an apology to all my coaches for kind of just being like, oh yeah, they were using their size. Yeah, because we're right around the same size, and that was just like I felt so stupid. Like I really was just like, so many people have been telling me this, and I've just been blowing it off, as a big guy thing, kind of, and I'm so wrong, so very wrong.
We had a student from you was in our gym today, Matt. His name's Matt, white belt.
Is he a crouch?
Beard? No, he's Kimmy Cobra Matt.
He's
got a beard. I think he said trains by you.
Okay. Yeah, we have a couple students named Matt. I'm trying to picture
Matt.
one.
He's a fan of the podcast, so I'm like,
that's all that really matters.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
absolutely.
right.
He's in.
Yeah, but he trains Matt. He's got a beard, taller, bigger white belt. But
Did you take a picture?
did not take a photo. No, sorry.
Opportunity was right there
no, I
to
don't
use
do
your
that.
brand new
We're gonna try-
3 cameras.
That's right. I'll ask all the Mats this week. So.
Which one of you betrayed me?
Exactly.
But
Was that Creonch?
it was good. It was a nice role. I was. It was a good role. I let him. He's 4-stripe white belt, so I kind of let him.
Oh,
see
Beardsley.
Yes.
Yes, yes, Matt.
The Matt with the beard is actually named Beardsley.
Yes.
I don't know. How did you pull that off?
Yes.
How did you know? You have a gift,
funny.
sir.
So yeah. So
Yes, yes,
we had
absolutely.
some fun. It was a good role. It was a nice time.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But was he at the Mount seminar today?
He was not. He was training with Zito.
Oh, see,
Oh,
so
shit.
so
Works with him.
look at the details that he's missing out on here. So speaking of crushing top pressure,
Yeah.
was that the focus of today's seminar? That,
Well, we were talking a lot about connection.
I love the word connection.
I do too.
I love when Hickson says it to me. Like the special way that I know that he's speaking about something on a higher plane of existence.
That's right.
That I cannot possibly understand myself with my mere mortal comprehension of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so everything we did was just kind of based upon the principle of connection today. I gave a Mount blueprint, and actually a little plug. We filmed that, so we're gonna edit that and put that together for people who are at the seminar, people who can't, and so I've got a private Facebook group that people can get connected to where I'm just doing different jiu-jitsu stuff, and we're releasing videos and stuff. It's called Armbar City.
Oh, I like that. I like the
And,
sound of that.
Why is it a private Facebook?
Because I want to be more connected in a community kind of way, and because I'm going to be giving stuff away. Like I'm going to do a free series on there, on Armbar City. There's a plug again.
Yeah, that's
How
a
many
great
times do I
plug.
have to say it? But yeah, I'm going to give some free stuff away. Like I'm going to do a whole little series for that community.
Okay.
Just on the principle of connection.
Nice.
But I don't want to share that with other people that aren't part of the community. So that's why it's moving to.
And it's easy to lose sort of control of that too.
That's right.
As opposed to like doing like a YouTube page or something.
As opposed to
like
doing a YouTube page and that kind of stuff. And so yeah, we've got this, and so we're going to take this mount. So what I did today is called a mount blueprint, and we talked about how to get to the mount, and I talked about the big step, which is kind of where you kick your leg over to mount, and we talked about driving the knee over, and there's some hidden jujitsu in there. There's some invisible jujitsu in there that involves connection, a little bit of weight distribution, that can really be make it or break it as you're trying to mount. So we talked a little bit about some of those details today, and then we talked about different kinds of mounts. So, why don't people like the mount?
Are you actually asking?
Yeah, I'm
'Cause
asking. I'm throwing it back at you.
Okay, my number one reason, I guess I should have, I have two main reasons. Okay, so my number one reason was previously, I sucked at mount. Let's
Okay.
be very honest here.
You suck at being mounted or mounting?
Sorry, mounting. Yeah, I sucked at being in top position of mount.
Right.
I didn't want to be on bottom position either, mind you.
Okay.
But yeah, like I felt much more stable and like I was able to put down more pressure and I had more options from side control. So frequently,
Right.
even though it breaks the dynamic of how jiu-jitsu is supposed to work, I would opt not to mount because A, I'm not throwing hands at people,
Right.
and B, and this is an important distinction that took me a while to figure this out. Mount is more valuable to me in the gi than it is in no gi
Okay.
because collars and things
right.
like that I can use.
And then if you lose the mount, you often end up on the bottom position,
guard.
which is terrible. Whereas if you lose control in the cross-side position, you're still on top. You're just back in the guy's guard.
right.
So for a lot of reasons, people don't like the mount. And what I wanted to do with this mount blueprint was to say, you know, there's ways you can connect from the mount position that make it very hard for him to take you off. So the first mount that we did is we talked about the low rider mount. So this is kind of like Hodger Gracie's mount. It's that low mount where you're down over the hips. And we just talked about different ways you can connect with your legs and shut down
Grapevining
his.
and-
Yeah. So I don't actually like the grapevine.
Okay.
But I shared why, and I think there's different and better ways to connect in that low ride position. And then we did a little bit on the Ezekiel.
What ways are better?
I do this thing. Well, one is you can put the guard on the guy from the mount, so you can cross your ankles.
Cross your ankles below, like
Yes.
underneath his butt, basically.
Correct.
Right?
Or you can do prayer feet. You can put your feet together.
Okay.
If you cross your ankles, you've got a wide base, and every time if he tries to bridge or something, you throw your hips into him and lift his head up. He's done. He's not getting out of that. And so I think for beginners, that low rider mount is really good. My favorite, though, is I will put my feet into the guy's calf muscles like stirrups on a horse.
Okay.
And what this does is it allows me to connect to him and drive a lot of downward hip pressure. And then he can't bring his heels close enough to his butt to get an effective bridge.
Right.
And then I can toggle my hip and my hip pressure every time you try to bridge and just totally kill your bridge and roll. And then when you try to do an elbow escape, I can kill that too just by, flattening my foot out and reading it. So it's a very effective thing. And then in that mix, we talked about just some details on the Ezekiel choke. We did head and arm choke. I like to do the head and arm choke without dismounting,
Okay.
right? Why would I give up a perfectly good mount? And then we talked about the arm bar from there. And we could have done the whole topic just on the low rider mount, but wanted to share a little bit about Hickson's mount.
I find it, for me, I go to mount often.
Mm-hmm.
Where I fail at mount is when the guy is a lot larger than I am.
Okay, yeah.
That's when I can't do my. If I'm going and I roll with everyone. So I'll roll with someone who's 250 pounds, 6 foot, whatever, and I just want to see how my jiu-jitsu works against them and what I like to go to. Can I get the mount? Which I can get the mount, but I cannot maintain mount when I have someone who is who's a little bit rounder,
Talking girthier?
Yeah, who's a little rounder. I just can't. I gotta keep knee on belly, otherwise he just kind of like rolls me right over. I really can't. No matter how I'm putting that pressure down, my knees don't hit the ground. Is that because that in my head I'm like, if my knees can't touch the ground, then I'm not going to be effective in the mount position.
There's always a guy who's maybe too big.
Yeah.
But you, my friend, need the Pedro Sauer mount.
Okay.
So there's a way of holding.
interested.
There's a way that Master Pedro Sauer holds the mount, where your one knee's forward, your other knee's floating. It's up.
Okay.
It's not quite the technical mount.
But like a mid position
It's
almost.
kind of a mid position in between there, where you're seated on the far side of one of his hips, and it's a very effective mount. It's very hard for a guy to escape that, and it does not require you to have both knees on the floor.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
I believe I've seen this David Porter.
Yeah, so you've probably seen it from him, because a lot of Pedro's guys are, pulling off Pedro's moves, and
Shockingly.
we're
Yeah,
listening.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can we
No,
I just
no,
wanna
go.
try to get a visual. What are you doing with the leg that's not on the ground? So you've got your low still, and the one knee is not
Yeah,
on the
so
ground?
the one knee slides forward, and it'll
Yes.
slide forward
Towards the armpit?
Towards the armpit,
Right.
Underneath the armpit, or you kind of want the guy's arm above you, so that sets up your armbar attacks and your chokes. And then the other leg it's very important. You're not flat-footed, your knee's up, but you're connected with the heel to the floor. So your heel is kind of biting the guy like you're putting the spurs into the guy.
I see.
A little bit. Very effective mount. We did not get to that today. In fact, we just kind of went over the surface of some of Hickson's mount approach. And again, it was all about connection. Like we were talking about cross chokes, and you should be able to do most cross chokes with your arms totally straight. Meaning you should not have to pull
it all the way back. Yeah.
And of course we will. There's nothing wrong with the pull, but you should be able to connect to the guy's neck in such a way that you don't need the pull to get the strangle.
Right.
And so we were talking about some of those different connection points today. And
is it the initial grip?
Yeah, it's the initial grip. When you slide your hand into the collar, you want what I call the rule of thumb, which means if you let go of the gi and flick your thumb up, you should be able to feel his ear. Mm. And that kind of lets you know that your wrist is aligned the right way. And then you just want to make sure that the back of your hand is flat up against his neck, like it's touching it. You can feel it. And you shouldn't be putting any pressure at that point. It's just there. Mm. And then we all know the battle is to set the second hand, but once you set the second hand, it's the same thing. You need that connection. And then all we're doing is we're rolling the wrist this way, so we're taking our wrist bone and we're putting into his external carotid arteries, and it's nighty-night.
Yeah.
Right? And we should be able to do that with our arms straight and our arms somewhat relaxed.
Right. Yeah, that's very good instruction. Very good. Yeah, I like that.
And I know for a fact that can happen because I have almost been put out by being the dummy while somebody was being overly verbose and explaining that on me. From bottom mount. That's right. Yeah. Just sitting there like, oh God, please finish. I don't want to have, damn it.
So we talked about a little bit of hand fighting strategies. Like we could always set, like when you're mounted, you could almost always set the first hand.
Right. The battle was for the second.
So we talked about a little bit of strategies to set the second. And then very important detail, like when I do this particular version of the cross choke or the X choke, where one palm is facing me, the other's facing away. Again, it's about connection. Like, as I'm putting my hand into the collar, you should be feeling like you're getting ready to go to sleep. Mm-hmm. As opposed to just putting the thumb in and then trying to dial that in. Mm-hmm. That's all connection.
Yeah.
It's awesome that we're here and we're getting this great visual of it, but our poor listeners at home have no idea. So it's really good. Will this be included in some of that?
Yeah, so our core listeners can go to Armbar City, join my private Facebook, and actually for you guys, for Grapplers Union podcast listeners, if they go to Armbar City /union.
Ooh, look at that.
Dang, we have provided a buy one, get one free for some of the stuff. So I've got a whole video from the bottom position called Poison Hands.
That sounds great.
Talking about how to set the cross choke from the guard.
That's so cool name.
I mean, that's the dim mock. You got to hit him with the dim mock, right?
I think all of our jiu-jitsu videos would get a little more interesting if we started using kung fu terminology.
I agree 100%.
Can we all agree there?
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So this backfired on me slightly. Okay, so I have to share this. I apologize to my listeners if they've heard me say it before, but when I choke people, I like talking about how I like get under the neck, and I always borrow terms for the hand configurations from Kung Fu. So when I lead in with like one knuckle, that's Phoenix Eye Fist. That's one of my...
And is this an ox jaw?
I don't use that one very much.
Okay.
But so... in Kung Fu, I've always been told that this hand configuration with the bent knuckles, it looks like a paw, kind of like I'm going to palm strike somebody or whatnot. That's leopard's paw. So
I was going to say jaguar, but yes, leopard.
Okay, I've heard
so
it called.
For instance, if I'm doing an Ezekiel, jaguar's paw.
There we go. Yeah,
leopard's paw.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Nice.
So I love using these terms for hand configurations and whatnot. They're right there. They're super visual in my mind and everything. So I'm explaining this, and I got a mixed group. Okay, I got men, women. I've got children, and one of the dads doesn't even realize it. Like he's not trying to be. He's like, so He's like, so he holds up the hand. He's like, so this one's the Phoenix Eye, right? And like, yeah. He's like, what's the other one called? Is that called Cougar Fist? And the whole room of adult men loses it. Just absolutely. And the kids are looking around like, what's so funny?
God.
But alas, now that's a long-standing joke now at that gym where it's like, hit him with the Cougar Fist.
But it's nomenclature, though.
Right.
You know,
So long as they know what I'm talking about, right?
So that's what judo has going for it, right? Mm-hmm. Like we could get on an airplane, go to train some judo in France, not speak a drop of French, but use words like shimewaza, tachiwaza, jujigatami,
right?
And boom, we're going to speak the language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everybody's using the Japanese nomenclature.
Except for the Korean.
No, we use that too.
Sometimes not. I've definitely seen that.
Well, 10th Planet too, right?
Yeah,
10th
no,
Planet's
I mean,
usually-
yeah.
Yeah, that's the genius of what Eddie Bravo's doing with 10th Planet. He's creating nomenclature, so you can go into any, any 10th Planet place, and you're going to know exactly what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
And like my main thing on that is above and beyond. You know, it's a great thing for creating a gym culture. Okay, it's a great thing for like really all your affiliates understand. It's like the Carlson handshake. You know, like if you're a Carlson Gracie jiu-jitsu practitioner, you don't know the handshake. Are you even doing jiu-jitsu at that point? But yeah,
Exactly.
with the 10th Planet, the big thing about that is the coaching benefit. Because if you don't know the system,
Right.
then the other guy's just spouting gibberish, and you have no idea what he's calling for. Whereas if the other guy's coach is like, hit him with the Kimura, grab the Kimura, go transition to the Americana. You're like, I do jiu-jitsu. I know what he's trying to tell him to do.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's one of those things that I've always considered like a little side benefit.
Yeah, Mineko's like Paul always does this. Paul's like, Andre, what kind of choke is this? He goes, can you? It's a choke. And he goes, this is a choke. That's a choke. This is a choke. He goes, it's all chokes. I don't know what are you asking me, Paul? It's all chokes. He's all chokes. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
10th Planet. I don't know that shit. Just choke. Choke him. That's it. Armbar. That's it. It's armbar. That's it.
You know who's a genius teacher, like with names and stuff? Master Carlos Machado.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Genius teacher.
I've not had an opportunity to train with him.
He'll typically, and this is great for people who want to teach jiu-jitsu. It's good to teach in the rule of 3. Mm-hmm. So you should be able to, even though there's 1,000 details in this, but you should be able to break the basic movements down into 3, and then it should be memorable. So like when Master Carlos Machado teaches his version of the scissor sweep, because there's a lot of different versions out there.
Oh yeah.
But his version of the scissor sweep, he teaches you to, crunch, punch, and kick. That's his move. And it's an incredible mnemonic device. Like, you're not going to forget that because of that. And that's part of the genius of his teaching.
That's really good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that. Simplify it.
That's your scissor sweep now?
Maybe. I might. I mean, I don't know if Maneka would go for that.
I can already just from that I can already visualize how it's most likely done.
too,
From
Yeah, like you see the hand in the collar,
Yeah.
and so you crunch, and then you punch it, and then you scissor, right?
Right.
You kick. Of course, Master Machado does his scissor sweep more like he's kneeing you in the rib.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
really cool.
Yeah. I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
Because
super
the
cool.
scissor sweep, that the way I learned it is basically, here with the hand, sit up, pull on top across your shin.
Yes.
And then leg comes down and get your sweep.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see that one.
And then the Henry Akins one's totally different.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's
Is it invisible?
hidden.
Oh, hidden. Sorry.
yeah, you can see it.
You can see it?
You can't use invisible.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, his is done like you don't even need to grab the guy or have his collar or his sleeve or anything like that. It's just done with the lower body, which means it's probably the only scissor sweep that would actually work in a street fight in a combat situation.
Because you'd be covering up or
Yeah,
not
because
be able
you
to pull
can
them
keep
in.
the distance management going so the guy can't touch you in the face. You can still execute the scissor sweep.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
it's genius. I love it. I love it all.
That also, I mean, now I've just realized that even though I was nodding my head, I'm like, No, I don't think I actually have seen Henry do that. But that also makes me realize, so since he's not using any kind of grips at all, probably an ideal one for no-gi as well then. Since he doesn't
Perfect
need
for
collar,
no-gi because
doesn't need
it's
sleeve.
so hard to hold the guy. And he hit that scissor sweep, and he does it in a way, too, again, with connection. There's that magic word again.
And timing.
And
Timing's gotta
timing
be.
and weight distribution, that it's very hard. It would be very hard for you to leg lock him. Because, a lot of guys will accept the scissor sweep because then they have your leg.
Yeah. And that was my go-to counter for the scissor sweep for a good 12 years.
That's right.
Is let me get swept so that I can go, thank you, and go for a leg lock.
Yeah, not with the way Henry does it, though. It's pretty cool.
Definitely got to check that out.
Yeah.
Look at you.
What's going on over there?
Sorry. I thought I turned that off.
What time do you have to get out of here?
Well, I got to catch a plane, so
Yeah.
we've got a few more minutes.
right? We got 5 minutes left.
I don't know, a plane trip back to Berwyn? Where?
Well, I live in Louisville now, although that's not how they say it.
Lawville?
They call it. So I'm going to be judged now. I'm going to be judged
Oh, by everyone?
by everyone who hears this. Let me see if I can do it. Louisville.
Okay.
So that's what they call it. Although everyone else in the world calls it Louisville,
And, except for the rare individual.
except for the natives, except for the locals, and right. And so I've been living in Louisville for about 2 years. My wife and I moved down there actually to plant a church. So I've been a pastor for over 17 years. Interesting Jeff Curran fact: the first wedding I ever officially did was marrying Jeff and his wife Sarah.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So
awesome.
Jeff and I have a good friendship, a lot of history, and but I've pastored most of my time up here in the Northwest Burbs in the West Dundee area, and just kind of felt like I was at the end of the season, and was tapped on my shoulder to go plant a church down in the South, which I thought was crazy.
Right.
In fact, I told my district guy, like, are you kidding me? Are you telling me the South needs another church? Like, can you or can you
It
not
does strike me as a hard sell, yeah.
stand on a corner, throw a rock, and hit a church? Like, you need more? And he said, well, you don't really understand the church. Just, there may be a lot of churches out there. That doesn't mean they're as effective as in terms of reaching people. Okay. And why don't you come explore? So my wife and I spent the last 2 years exploring. And it got us a lot closer to our kids as well. I got a 25 and a 27-year-old. Oh, wow. And so we get to be closer to our kids. And I get to do kingdom work for Jesus Christ. So we're super excited about it. We're planning a church called Life Church in Louisville. And we're just at the very beginning stages of kind of gathering a launch team. So anybody here in the Midwest, Chicagoland area, that would like to be less cold this winter,
That is a strong selling point.
come down to Louisville. I got a place for you.
There you go.
And you can come train with me at Gracie, Kentucky.
Is that where you train?
Yep.
Gracie,
Yep.
Kentucky.
Teach out of Gracie, Kentucky. It's a Pedro Sauer affiliate school. And there's a lot of good jiu-jitsu in Louisville.
Yeah, I know a couple of guys, one of whom I met through one of Henry's seminars up
Right.
here at Alpha BJJ. So yeah, the continuing part of the Midwest, we're spreading out and trying to get. It's funny, actually. Sorry, that's a very meandering set of thoughts there. But so, if I remember correctly, Adam Redzovic came on the show, and the guys hit him up afterwards, and they're like, "Hey, like we're just starting off the show. Been doing it for a couple of months at that point. We need suggestions. Like who do you think would be interesting guys to talk to?" And he gives the guys this just laundry list of names, and Adam Miller was in there. And
From Adam Redzovic?
yeah, from Adam Redzovic, if I recall.
So I know Barry Phillips.
Yeah. Barry's
Barry
a
and I
good
go
friend of
back
mine.
a number of years.
There's a
know if
conversation to be had.
I don't know if I've ever had the opportunity to meet, but I've been around for a while.
Right.
In
Yeah,
fact,
it was by reputation.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, like Paul starts working his way through the list and finally gets to your name. And he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna try to reach out to Adam Miller. Do you know him?" I'm like, "I don't know him. I know of him." And by the way, I hear he's moving to Kentucky. So that was the timing of everything.
So I had to move to Kentucky
Right.
to get on the Grapplers Union
Very-
podcast.
Yeah. Well,
Basically.
had we started, had you just done it alphabetically, maybe.
Yeah, right?
would have gotten you before you moved. But yeah, so just a funny story. You've been on that list for a while, and when I saw that you were coming back in town to do a seminar, I'm like, we have to take this opportunity.
Well, it's a privilege, and I feel honored to be a part of it.
Oh,
and
for sure.
It's been really, really cool being in kind of a pioneering role with
Yeah, no, you've
jiu-jitsu
been.
here.
Let's be frank here. You've been a cornerstone of the Chicago Midwest scene for many years. I cannot run into somebody from the old school that
Right.
doesn't at least know you, whether they trained with you or trained to trained to be against you. Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Your name's definitely been out there.
Yeah,
So.
it's been cool. I think I had the opportunity to pioneer jiu-jitsu first in Crystal Lake and then in Elgin, although Paul Sharp may have been doing it just before me or right kind of at the same kind of time. He's a straight blast gym guy.
Yeah, we've had Paul on the show.
Super
Yeah.
cool guy,
Great guy.
amazing guy. But yeah, it's been really cool touching other people's lives because there's something about jiu-jitsu that's life-changing and life-giving.
Yeah, again,
And
no,
so, like,
no denial here.
Yeah, so we get to be a part of that in terms of changing people's lives in a really good way. And I was telling Jeff this on the car ride over here. Outside of the church, the best community in the world on earth is the jiu-jitsu community, period.
I feel that.
That's a big statement,
Disagree.
but
That's a huge
I
statement.
think I could back it.
Yeah, that's huge.
Man, where do you go from there? I don't even know. I guess we are lucky
Yeah.
that it's like that.
Yeah, and this community is so different. Like, I was on a podcast out, kind of a local podcast in Louisville, and they were asking me what my thoughts on MMA are. And of course, like we all love MMA, but it's different than when it first started. Like with the first UFC hit, it was truly a style versus style thing, and those were the things that really kind of interested me.
It's like
Now-
live action blood sport.
Yeah, so now it's personality and attributes versus attributes, and I get less excited about that. But yeah, I think the big thing is because of being at Team Curran, for so many years and having the opportunity to be Jeff's kind of right hand man on the jiu-jitsu front, I've met so many high level MMA guys over the years that have cycled on and off our mats, and I'll never forget this. I won't mention the guy's name, but. Sitting in the sauna with him, like after some training, and he just said, I can't wait till this shit is over. And, I'm going to flesh that out a little bit. Like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about just the cutting weight and the grind? And it wasn't that stuff. It was everything in the MMA world that wasn't life-giving.
Right.
And then he said this, like, when I'm done, I'm never going to step foot into an MMA gym again. And what struck me in that conversation in the sauna was I never hear that from jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah, no.
Like if we were training and we're in a pool of our own sweat and we're sitting on the edge of the mat and, we're never saying, I can't wait till this is over.
No.
Or I'll never step
true.
onto the mats again. There's something in the MMA community that isn't as life-giving as what we have in the jiu-jitsu community.
Man, that's so true.
And let me chime in on that just a little bit more because I definitely feel that, and maybe it's got to be something unique about the culture of Brazilian jiu-jitsu because, like as much as I talk about it, I'm a grappler first. I do a bunch of different martial arts between catch wrestling and sambo and judo and jiu-jitsu. Like these are all things I participate in regularly. But if we look at wrestling at a collegiate level, if you don't go to the Olympics, you're pretty much done. Okay? Maybe to stay relevant in it, you go on and you coach, but at a certain point, you're like, I'm done cutting weight, I'm done wrestling, the grind is over, time to retire from the mats. And a lot of guys are never going to come back. Occasionally you get guys that'll compete in some tournament like the Midlands or something like that where older guys do get work in, but for the most part, yeah, at a certain point, past your 20s, you're done. Judo works very similarly for a lot of competitive athletes, not so much for the guys that are club level guys. Right. In a lot of cases that becomes a life pursuit. But yeah, like I remember not that long ago, somebody was interviewing Ronda Rousey and was talking about like MMA and judo and whatnot, and she like laughed. She's like, the very idea of going back to the judo mats and training judo regularly was like, no, I'm done with that. I did that all throughout my youth. You know, I went as far as I could go with it, and I don't want to do it anymore.
Right. And here we are. I spent all night Friday on the mat sweating it out, all this morning, and I can't wait to get back on the mats at Gracie, Kentucky on Monday and do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
And do it again with the people that I keep doing it with. It's
crazy.
It's life-giving.
It's crazy.
Yeah, there's definitely something.
And Javi, you've got Tap Out Cancer coming up, a fight, right?
Yeah, because I'm an idiot. So real quick, I'll tell this story. We one of our guys posted up that they were looking for fighters for Tap Cancer Out. They needed to replace a 145er, and one of our buddies, Sean Richmond, tagged me in that post and was like, "Hey, Javi, 145," and I'm like, I got Midwest finishers coming up the week after that, but yeah, I can, no problem making that weight. I'm under that weight, and it's for a good cause. I'll hit them up and see if they need someone. And they hadn't gotten back to me right away. I'm like, they probably filled the spot because you tagged me in the middle of the night and I didn't see it till the morning.
Right.
But Sean reaches out to him and like, oh yeah, we don't need that spot filled, but would he be willing to do 155? And I go, ugh. Well, it's still for a good cause, so
So
tell you
you're
what.
fighting.
So it hasn't officially been announced yet. So I
Is
don't.
this the place? Are you going to announce it here?
Well, so I think it has more to do with the fact that I simply haven't finished all the paperwork and sent them my picture and whatnot.
Like this is breaking news.
Well, yes, but timing of the show wise, it may not ultimately be. But yeah, so doing Tap Cancer Out, it's going to be on the 19th at the Oak Lawn Pavilion.
Yeah.
Okay, gonna jump on in a 155 no-gi brown belt. My opponent is LaQuinn Swift from Valco BJJ.
Okay.
And I'm going to go out there and try to entertain the crowd. Work to do the best we can with the 8 minutes we're provided for our match.
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Wow.
8 minutes of submission only.
That's awesome.
Hopefully,
It's gonna be amazing.
hopefully very entertaining. But let's be honest here, he did a lot more work on this. I'm just sort of the last minute replacement here. So,
okay.
so yeah,
Always in shape, though.
yeah.
Yes.
Always got to be ready.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, Adam, I appreciate you coming on, and I know you got to get to the airport. And anytime you come back, just hit us up, man. I'd love to have you back on.
Love to have it. Love to share some techniques so we can flesh out some of the things we were talking about.
Yeah.
I see you guys. One of the things I love about what you're doing is you're throwing some jiu-jitsu vids on there as well. So
Yeah.
it was super cool to see that.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
They could find me at Gracie, Kentucky. They could find me at armbarcity.com.
Okay.
And they could visit me on Facebook and get hooked up to that private Facebook group. Armbar
Any
City.
Instagram or anything like that?
I'm on Instagram as The Real Padre BJJ.
I like that.
And that's I'm usually called Mr. Miller, just over the years, but I was given a nickname by Bartimus, and he used to call me Padre. So
Nice.
that's my jiu-jitsu nickname.
Cool.
It's a great one.
Alex Kim.
Alex?
I'm sorry.
Oh wow.
You guys know another Alex Kim, right?
We do know.
Jeff Kim.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. Why did I say Alex Kim? That's crazy.
Because us Asians all look all alike.
I wasn't going to say it, but I was
I know that's
definitely
what he was
thinking it.
thinking.
Where can people find you, Jeff?
Over in Elgin, Fusion Fitness, MMA, we're Gracie University certified. So
Awesome.
We'll see you guys there. And I'll see you next week. Actually, I have a couple students that are competing. So
All right, I'll be there.
looking forward to watching you. And I haven't seen you live before, so I'm very excited to see.
Aim to please.
That's right.
In the flesh. All
Just
right.
in video.
Thanks, guys, for coming in, and then we'll see you later. And shout out to Alex Kim also. Whoever you are. Hope you're doing well. Ciao. We'll see you guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. For more information about Grappler Union Podcast, you could visit us at our website at grapplerunion.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Grappler Union. Please like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel. Say what?
Be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to all that shit. You got to do another take, right?
Oh.